Miri, I want to cross to you now, because as the IDF continues to warn these civilians in Gaza, they're also warning Hamas terrorists. So does this weaken their approach in any way?
In no way whatsoever. Not only are we on the high moral ground, we are in a war. We're in the ugliest, dirtiest war that has ever been. And I want to say in the sense that this is beyond comprehension, and everybody's trying to frame it as if this is the same as something that happened in the past. This is so unprecedented. We're going to go in, and we are going, and I'm using the term carefully, crush the Hamas infrastructure terrorists inside where they have hidden, built themselves, and strengthened themselves for so many years. We have never done so before. Look at what we're doing, Nicole. We're giving them early warning. We've been giving them early warning for days now. Everybody keeps asking, what's taking us so long? We're telling them to leave, that we are going to literally crush down that Hamas infrastructure. So this is Israel going on the initiative. This is Israel going to attack. It is not going to be any easier after this. But I feel stronger in the sense that at least we're going after the hardcore infrastructure that will fester otherwise. And I remind us all, Hamas, a tenth of what Hezbollah has in Lebanon. So we're very focused on down south, but that is still hovering up north.
Miri, with this latest news also continuing to urge all of those civilians to evacuate, does this also signal a ground invasion, the start of something much more?
The ground operation was a given. We've been talking about this for days. As we say, this is not something easy and happy. We're in the worst times that there are ever. And when you have this kind of a terror organization that has so grown and been helped and backed, and look at how the world right now, the horrific world that has been, not all of the people, this is not the West, but there are too many voices out there who are backing Hamas. This isn't about the Hamas. Israel is warning the civilians. The Hamas are murderous terrorists. And in that sense, the ground operation is something which you cannot really crush those capabilities without going in. It is harsh. It will be hard for us, but it is an absolute necessity to be able to bring about some kind of a new reality, certainly when it comes to Hamas terror.
Well, and Miri, while all of this is happening, we know there's also current hostages being held in Gaza, nearly 100 confirmed hostages remaining there. Some speculation that there could be dozens more, but Israel and the United States releasing very little information about this. So as this continues to escalate, how does that impact the hostage situation?
A hostage situation is the most complicated one that the world has ever known. Have you ever heard of a terror attack that, aside from murdering, brutality, etc., of thousands of Israeli citizens, is also taken in from all of these different places? They're also in the Gaza Strip, and those same Hamas terrorists who are telling their own civilians, stay, don't leave, because they use them as human shields. Nicole, they most definitely are using the Israeli hostages as their own shields. It's called the complication within the situation. These are the difficult decisions that need to be made. We need to try, but to be able to get to them, you have to do the ground operation. You cannot get to them otherwise in any case.
Now, I want to go back to retired Colonel Miri Eisen. Miri, as we continue to see these clear connections to ISIS, these clear connections to these horrific attacks that the international community is now seeing firsthand with photos, with footage, do you think that the international response has been enough after seeing this?
The international governmental response has been immense when we're talking about the leadership and the actions in the United States, in Europe, and all of these countries. I absolutely think that they both understand that this kind of attack is something that happened here. And this is not about the Palestinians. This is about a ISIS-type attack, Hamas ISIS-type attack that could happen anywhere, and that scares them. Having said that, Nicole, we all have to breathe deep. We're all aware of the fact that on the ground, meaning public opinion, social media, there is the most horrific narrative going around, which is absolutely horrible, which completely and absolutely denies what's going on. And in that sense, I'll tell you who I am the most disappointed in, and it's going to be odd saying this perhaps on i24NEWS. My disappointment is in people who have been raised in the West, who talk English like you and me, people like Queen Raina of Jordan, who have not stood up with an open voice and said anything about these atrocities. Au contraire, they've gone and they have supported Hamas. This isn't about supporting the Gazan people. We're the ones who are calling the Gazan people to move and get out of those Hamas strongholds. Hamas is telling them to stay. Have the guts to stand up and look at this and understand it, and understand that this is something that threatens them too. So there's an enormous gap between the Western leadership and, in some areas, the Western people, and there's an enormous gap when it comes to the narrative that is running in the greater Palestinian support world, where they're not separating between Palestinian and Hamas's ISIS, and that is a huge mistake for all of them. When I say mistake, it's beyond moral understanding.
Miri, let's come back to you. This is a tough question, I think, to answer, but it's something that we're hearing from Jews in Israel around the world. We are in a war here in Israel, yet we continue to see Israelis and Jews come back here, many of them wanting to fight for the country, but also many of them worried about hate crimes that they could experience abroad. Is it safer for Jews right now in Israel than it is for them abroad?
I think that we're safe as the Jewish people because we are strong and we've prevailed. And Nicole, that's one of those aspects where we're still standing. We're those people who have been here for thousands of years, and this is not going to destroy us also. And I say that in that sense because we have viewers all around the world. This is an incredible low point, and we're standing. And as you're showing the view of the anti-Israel protests, you, of course, could also show the pro-Israel aspects that are going out there. When I look at those anti-Israel protests, I want to remind us, look at what they're saying. It's not about free Palestine, that one, or the voices out there. It's that they're supporting Hamas, and they're supporting people who are saying from the sea to the land, meaning they're talking about the demolition and annihilation of Israel. What they attacked on Saturday morning is in the heart of the regular communities of the state of Israel, of who we are. It's absolutely, as Guy said, against our existence at all. So Jews are going to be, and we will continue to be, and we will be in Israel, and we will be in diasporas around the world. Hamas made this call for the Day of Rage day before yesterday, before we're at the intensity of the attacks against their strongholds, when they were already holding an amount of hostages, not that they're saying how many they have, how many they have already killed, how many they have already executed. So we need in that sense to be vigilant. We need in that sense to be strong. We need to know that it's not just that we're on the moral high ground. That doesn't help us when we're protecting ourselves, but that we have to breathe in deep. We know how to get past these things. Be vigilant, be careful, talk to your neighbor. The people who are going out there and yelling and screaming against the existence of the state of Israel, I want to be like in France right now, because that was one of the most amazing things that happened in the last 24 hours, is that France disallowed pro-Palestinian protests in France, and that is quite amazing.
It's true. The response that we are seeing from different governments and political leaders has been strong, even if the public opinion is a little bit weaker. Miri Eisen, thank you so much for all of your insight on this.